All right, welcome back to The Square. I am your host, Curtis the Fifth.
And I'm Curtis the Fourth.
We are back talking football still, continuing our kind of series here on the divisional previews. We take our focus over to the NFC West. I think the best division in football as it stands right now. Would you agree?
Yes. Yes, I do. And which will be very interesting when I bring up the question of the day, by the way.
Cool. So we will get to that at the end of the show. Before we get started here, please, again, like, rate, and subscribe to this show and share it with anybody that you know to continue to help us grow the show and the podcast to reach more people. But yeah, we are going to continue this series here on the divisional previews here. Football has started just after we recorded last week. We got our first preseason action. Man, Justin Fields looks good. Kansas City's looking good. Chicago's looking good. Some teams that need some work.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, today is August 17th. Today is August 17th, and so we are 2 days away from the start of preseason week 2. Like I said, there's some teams that need some work, and everybody's making moves right now. We just had our first wave of cuts, and we mourn the loss of Tim Tebow for the second time in the NFL.
Moment of silence.
All right. And we're back. But yeah, we are going to dive into the NFC West. Again, one of the best divisions in football. To me, the best division in football. You got 4 teams that legitimately could say they have a real shot at making a playoff run this year.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of experience on every single one of these rosters. Some teams I do feel are regressing a little bit. Some teams are just on the cusp of getting to a huge breakout. And you got just some strong defenses, some high-powered offenses in this division. And hoping everybody can stay healthy in this division. Looking at you, San Francisco. But let's dive into it. We're going to go ahead and do some division predictions, obviously. Look at their off seasons, look at some key additions and subtractions from each roster, and then also look at some key storylines. So let's just go ahead and dive right in. Do we want to start with the young kids on the block here?
Yes, let's go with I'm assuming you're saying Arizona.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good place to start.
Yeah. So Arizona, I mean, the questions that I have for this team going into this season, I got 2. Well, they're basically the same question. I mean, it's a very young roster, so how far can they go? And can this team really, in 2021, put it all together? The reason why those are my 2 questions is because, to me, from what I can see on the field and how this team operates, how they're coached, and the way their style of play, I feel like this team is a year away.
I did say that they could make a playoff push when we did our initial power rankings there.
Yeah.
But at this, I mean, I probably regress about a little bit on that take, just to say that I think they're right there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think almost like where they were last year. Not that they didn't make any more improvements. However, they are just in the toughest division.
This division is murderer's row. This division, for anybody who remembers back a few years ago when we had the World Cup going on, this is the group of death.
Right.
Just Germany, Portugal, U.S., I think it was Ghana. It was just like, I feel like Arizona's Ghana. It's just a young team that doesn't have a real opportunity of breaking through the talent in this division. Not to say that they don't have talent themselves. It's just, everybody's going to be knocking each other off. And I just feel like, unfortunately, Arizona's going to get the short end of the stick when it comes to that. But to me, I mean, let's just look at some of their big additions. I mean, obviously the big one, J.J. Watt, deciding to come on over after he got a buyout from Houston.
Mm-hmm.
They drafted Zaven Collins, the rookie, the linebacker there. They bring in A.J. Green, a nice veteran wide receiver, to continue to add depth there. Mm-hmm. Malcolm Butler on the defensive side to help bolster their defensive back situation. And they also, I think, kind of a sneaky pick there. They ended up James Conner in the free agent market as well.
Definitely. I'm not the greatest running back, but when you need depth, and they definitely needed some depth at the running back with the departure of Kenyon Drake. James Conner, I think he could be a nice fill-in. Doesn't necessarily have to be a bell cow, which they were trying to produce over there in Pittsburgh, and I think him and Chase Edmonds could be a nice 1-2 combo to try to balance out that passing attack. I think they're going to really be a pass first offense, and if they are run first, it's going to be Kyler Murray running first. So it's kind of
true.
I think they're just nice utility plug and play guys. So 8, 9, 10 games out of the season, I think if James Conner could stay healthy, I think he could be a really nice key addition to this team.
For sure. I think, adding depth to that backfield that's already got so many weapons. They're in a real good spot offensively. Now, defensively, you've already alluded to it. They did lose Kenyon Drake on the offensive side, but they also ended up losing Patrick Peterson at corner and Devondre Campbell at linebacker. So got some holes there. They try to address both of them, but I think Malcolm Butler is a good fill-in for Patrick Peterson. I think he's got a step on Pat Pete right now. Maybe not the same IQ as Pat Pete, but at the end of the day, he's still a fantastic player here. And I think that he's going to bring a lot of veteran experience to this defense that has a lot of young guys on it. And then Devondre Campbell, you lose him, you bring in a rookie in Zaven Collins. We'll see how that works out. I mean, I don't have any too many hard takes on Zaven Collins. I think he's a nice pick for them.
Mm-hmm.
They needed to fill that position, but I don't know if a rookie can step into that linebacker position and fill the shoes of Devondre Campbell.
That remains to be seen. I mean, they were pretty high on the guy, so
yeah.
I mean, that's just going to be one of those things we're watching for. And this is probably, like picks like a pick like that is probably what's going to contribute a direct correlation to that make or break element this year, whether or not they're going to be a playoff team or they're going to be pushing for that playoffs, or are they going to regress back? We just don't know.
I ended up moving them all the way up to 11. Not saying that they're going to make the playoffs. I just think that they have that good of a roster. Everybody to me in this division is top 15. There's nobody lower than there's nobody in this division that is bottom half of the league.
Interesting. So you said them at 11.
I have them at 11. Based off of their roster alone, their division won't allow them to get into the playoffs, I don't think. But I do think that they, power rankings wise, they are one of the strongest teams in the league.
Agreed. That did not reflect my my power rankings, because that was one of the reasons why I was a little lower on them.
Gotcha.
I had them at 17, but
17
is as low as it gets. But I mean, which they just missed the midway, the front half marker. So they're right. Like I said, they're that team that's right there.
Yeah.
For me. A real interesting pickup that they had in the offseason, which I think is going to go a long way with them. Because we, talked about, on the defensive side of the ball, we talked about the offensive side. Did you even mention AJ Green by any chance?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I know he's there. Jury's still out. I'm ready to see what this is. I'm not too sure how that's going to fit, but
I'm excited for him to be there just because he's not the number one. And he doesn't have to be the bell cow. I'm the number one target. I mean, nobody's going to be the number one target over DeAndre Hopkins.
True. I mean, and of course they got Christian Kirk over there and him.
Yeah.
I think that makes for a very nice addition. But my point was I misheard. I didn't hear you say that.
Okay.
But that's not the guy I was looking at. One of the most interesting pickups I thought was that kicker, Matt Prater.
Oh,
He signed him to a 2-year deal. Matt Prater is a very, clutch kicker, and
everybody's leaving Detroit.
Yeah. And just when you put it all together, they have really put together a really nice offense. I thought that, matter of fact, they plugged in all the holes that needed to be plugged in Arizona. And I'm thinking, like, this is a sneaky pick here this year. Like, this is the one I'm not going to Vegas putting money on, because you just, based on the competition, I can see where you can lose money. But, if you to just look at this team and bet against them, I wouldn't do that. That's
No.
not smart money. Says you need to do a little more homework because this is a very dangerous team, and it's a team right there on the cusp. So I would be like, spotlight is on them for me all season long. So
Yeah,
if they
keep
make
in mind last year this team they were in week 17, one of the teams that were trying to make the playoffs, right with Chicago, right with the LA Rams. Everybody, all those were the three teams that still didn't have any solidified spot in the playoffs, and they went out and they beat LA, but Chicago ended up losing, so they didn't get in.
Exactly.
So that, and when you look at this team, I mean, they were literally on the doorstep of making it into the playoffs last year, and they're very close. But hey, let's move along here. Let's go ahead and talk about the team with the ravaged by injuries next up. San Francisco. Oh wait, sorry. Before we get to that, what is your prediction on their record?
Ooh, 8-9.
We are spot on, 8-9.
Yeah, but this is.
Now I also went back and I looked at their divisional record. I have them at 2-4 within the division.
I don't know if I didn't break it down to the division when it was all said and done. But give me a couple minutes and keep talking. I'll have it.
No, it's just, to me, it's when you're looking at their division, I don't see them beating teams that are completely stacked, and that's almost everyone in this division. But I do see them being able to be at home and steal one in some very, very close games. I mean, they beat Seattle last year, who Seattle was in the midst of the Let Russ Cook campaign. They won that game against Seattle. And San Francisco, I know they were ravaged by injuries last year. Don't come for me, but they did end up getting one against them as well. So just this Arizona team, I think, is not a team that is going to get walked over. I just think that they're going to have a tough time within this division. Teams that see them every couple of weeks, they see them twice a season, every single year, and they kind of know this offense a little bit more now. With Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury having a couple of seasons together now. Yep. There's a lot of eyes on this team because of how young they are. They ended up beating Buffalo last year, and so this is a team, like I said, is one that everybody, I think, in the league has an eye on. At least if you're a fan, you don't have, like you said, you don't have an eye on this team and you think it's an easy win on them. I don't think that's anywhere near true. I think this is going to be a team that loses 9 games in one-score games. I think these are going to be very close. I don't see them getting blown out by any team in the league, whether it's Kansas City, Tampa Bay, Chicago, LA, San Francisco, Seattle. I don't care who they play. I think it's going to be a very tough-fought game. I just think that they might get the short of the end of the stick more often than not this season.
Right, and a lot of that probably has to do with just chemistry. They brought in a lot of new pieces and just trying to gel together and be cohesive. But with that being said, like you said, a year away, I'll give it. I can endorse that. That by next year, this is going to be a team to be reckoned with. Even, and that's not even taken away from the other 3 teams in the division that I don't see backing down. Really, not unforeseen any type of injuries or some crazy trade, but right now, the NFC West, I wouldn't want no part of this division if I was in the NFL. I'm like, man, please trade me somewhere else.
I think the biggest thing in this division right now is the development of Kyler Murray as a quarterback. I mean, obviously this dude can run. Obviously the team believes in him, right. But if he's able to take that next step, just get that little extra oomph, this dude is going to be somebody that he's going to be unstoppable. When you're looking at the next wave of quarterbacks, I think he's right on the cusp of trying to make it into that tier 1 of the new quarterbacks, the quarterbacks under 25.
Right.
I think he's right on that cusp of tier 1. I think he's definitely at the top of tier 2. For sure.
And, and this name should be just as synonymous as a Josh Allen. As much as they're trying to cheer him on, I think the only difference the only thing that is, hampering Kyler Murray was they missed the playoffs. And I think that's why we're not hearing his name as much. And, of course, Josh Allen found his way into an AFC championship game.
Yeah.
However, they didn't win. So,
I mean, at the end of the day, it is learning how to win and how to lead a team. So if he can figure that out, I think that's going to be the learning experience this season. Last year, it was about just developing your skill, your talent. He's obviously got the talent.
Right.
I don't think that's any question. If anybody's disputing that, stop listening now because you're just wrong. But at the end of the day, it's learning how to win and learning how to lead a team. If he can do that, if he can be a leader, I'm all for it. And I think this kid, I mean, he's from Oklahoma, so I mean, I don't see any issues with this kid learning how to lead a team. So in the NFL anyway. But let's scoot on over to another team in red, San Francisco. This team. Now I know what your initial power rankings were in your gripes with this team, and you're not very high on them. But to me, San Francisco, I think, gets a lot of, I think this is a lot of recency bias. I think this is kind of prisoner of the moment, looking back at them, because a lot of people, I think, aren't giving enough credit to how well this team played under the circumstances. Okay. They lost their quarterback twice in a season. They lost every single weapon that they had. I mean, defensively, I mean, you lost, to me, one of the best pass rushers in the league, even though I know he's only in year 2. I think we're going into year 3 now in Nick Bosa. And you lose a guy like that. I mean, it's just, those are a lot of injuries to come out to try to overcome in the first place. But then you have to add on the fact that with COVID, and it was a COVID season last year for one, so those are all. I'm already automatically putting an asterisk to last year for that alone. But they also ended up, they're the only team in the league that literally got kicked out of their own stadium last year. They had to play the second half of the season in Arizona.
That did happen.
So they didn't, even though there weren't any fans there in the first place, they weren't home. They never got to see home because they had to live in Arizona for a while due to all of everything going on last year. So I think this is if we're going to admonish them, if we're going to say that their Super Bowl window has closed, I think we have to wait and do it after this season. And so I'm putting them higher up just because not that they overcame it, because they weren't able to make it to the playoffs last year even, but they endured a lot of adversity last year. So with those guys coming back, I don't think there's any way you have the number of injuries that you did last year. On top of the fact that you're going to finally be playing at home for a full season. I don't think any team is going to get displaced this year. So I think they've got a lot more stability this season with how their regimen's going to go, how they can get into a routine, all of that stuff. I think they'll be just fine, and they'll be able to come out and play fantastic football and really not have to worry about a lot of outside factors messing with them just getting on the field and playing football.
Agreed. I had to obviously reevaluate this team. Trying to not get caught up in their roster being decimated last year, which it does happen, but don't generally happen at that rate. But got to keep in mind that's the Jimmy Garoppolo situation. Not really talking about the Trey Lance and the wings, but just his health, and as far as their continuity, and because when Garoppolo's in the game, I'm sorry, San Francisco, they win.
It's just as simple as that.
This dude just know. I mean, that label they gave to Tim Tebow or Mr.
Tebow
Skip,
time?
Mr. Skip Bayless, who was just a bleeding heart Tim Tebow fan. No, that really is success to Garoppolo. Garoppolo only knows how to win. And doesn't look pretty, doesn't look bad, but it's not flashy, I should say. But he's efficient and he knows how to get the job done. Now, if the man could just stay on the field, we wouldn't have this problem.
I'll say it again. I think I think I'm 45 for 45. The best ability is availability, and if you're not able to play, why are we paying you?
That's true. That is true. Looking at their roster, they brought in a few different pieces, which some interesting pieces. I mean, this Mohamed Sanu thing is interesting to me, but him being the third wide receiver, I think it can work. The biggest offseason move that I think they made to me, outside of the draft,
Yeah.
and Trey Lance, it has to be, and it's just for me. This is one of my dark horse guys that I've watched, and I'm overly impressed. Wayne Gallman.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
I mean, unfortunately, he's third in the depth chart. I'm not even worried about this. This guy's going to probably be the starter.
He's going to play.
Yeah, definitely going
Those
to play.
dudes can't stay healthy.
And that's what I'm saying. I mean, it doesn't matter who's 1, 2, or 3. They're all going to split shares.
Yeah.
And
this is a run first team in the first place,
right? And it's just, I mean, man, you talk about a West Coast offense. It has began and ended here. In
Are
San
they
Francisco.
the epitome of West Coast zone run?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. I thought I saw that. It's just like, man, it's just
it's a San Francisco thing.
Gotcha.
So, and that's kind of why I'm giving space. That's why I even brought him up, because I'm not looking at somebody third on the depth chart. I'm like, but the fact that they brought him in, they didn't bring him in just to hold a spot.
Yeah,
this guy's gonna play. And coming off his best season, on a crappy team with no offensive line. I'm psyched about Dwayne Gallman this year. I'm like, comeback player of the year, possibly. But with that, I just, as long as with Garoppolo staying healthy long enough to let Trey Lance get
his feet under him.
Exactly. I see the team. Like as I said, I have such a different view now, where it's a little bit more balanced.
Yeah.
And they're a hell of a team. I don't know if they're Super Bowl bound, but I definitely think they're definitely a playoff bound team, and a contending playoff team. So again, like the rest of the teams in this division, these are teams you do not really want to see going down the stretch of the season. As the season is winding up, you don't want to face an Arizona, a San Francisco, a Seattle, even a Rams. You're just like, oh my God, why do you know my schedule? And I mean, so with that being said, I had to readjust, and I had them at 21 a few months ago.
Yeah,
but I have them at 12 now. So
yeah.
I think that's sensible, because I'm not putting them at number 1 or anything like that, or at like they're that next team in line. No, but they, barring a few injuries here and there around the league, and they when they get hot, this is not a team I want to see in December at all.
Oh God, no, especially in their home stadium. Oh my goodness, those fans are going to be insane.
Yeah, hopefully you're Buffalo or you Green Bay and you have a home game against them, something like that. You're gonna want to, you're gonna want to play like 20 degrees. You're gonna have to cool this team off, because that's about you need every advantage, because if this team is rolling, they're very hard out.
And that's why I have them at 10, I believe, in my power rankings. Yeah, I got them right at 10. They're right above Arizona. I think they're going to be able to win some more games. I do feel like this is going to be the year Jimmy Garoppolo stays healthy finally. Let's not have any COVID protocol with him. Let's not have any injuries. Let's play smart football. I think he's going to play the full season. I think they're going to do what Chicago is saying that they're trying to do, in keeping Justin Fields off the field. They don't want to play him. They keep saying that. But to me, I feel like at some point we're going to see Justin Fields this year. With San Francisco, they're not saying anything. And it seems like they're trying to just, okay, it's Jimmy Garoppolo, you just learned this year, but they're not saying anything. So a lot of people have been jumping on like, oh, when's it going to be the time that we see Trey Lance, and when are we going to see him get trotted out there? Is he going to take over the job and that, the other? But lo and behold, every single week, it's still, hey, Jimmy Garoppolo's number 1 on the depth chart. He's still ready to play. He's still ready to get out there, get the work done. He's still putting in the work. Everything that he's saying is, hey, kid's cool. I'm trying to help him learn as much as he possibly can. I'm learning from him. He's learning from me, type of thing. And I'm just going to go out there and play football. It doesn't seem like he's bothered by the signing. I think that San Francisco did it right by letting him know, hey, we are going to be drafting this kid, but you're still our guy. We have you here for a reason right now, and we really want you to play. So he's accepted that, and he's just going out and doing his job, and he's doing everything that he can. Possibly, I think what he's doing is just, hey, this is my audition tape for the next team, for my next contract, type of thing.
Exactly. Go ahead. You can finish. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but no, it's just simply, I think this is going to be a big year for Jimmy Garoppolo. It may not turn into double-digit wins. I mean, I'll just preface this by saying I have him at 10-7 right now. They have them also 2-4 within the division. I think again it's a tough division, but I think with the way that things might shake out and the way that this team plays, again, I don't think they're going to have as many injuries. I don't think the running backs are going to stay healthy just because of the amount of usage that they get. But my big thing is with their additions. Obviously Trey Lance is the biggest one. Again, like I said, I think they're going to put him on a shelf this year. I think he's just going to learn. But Alex Mack, Sam Ebukam, I think is a very underrated pickup. And then Jaquiski Tart at free safety, helping out the defense, making sure that's all taken care of, and then protecting Jimmy Garoppolo. Massive. And also Alex Mack is kind of a dual threat hybrid type of center. He's able to play both the pass and the run. But I think he's more effective in the pass game. So they are, I think, going to try to push Jimmy Garoppolo along a little bit. But simply even just having him there to bolster this offensive line is going to help their run game even be more dynamic, more effective this season as well. So I think that's probably their biggest signing is Alex Mack.
Possibly. I won't argue with that. Because their defense is definitely 2 months ago I wasn't seeing it. Oh my God, this is dangerous. Team scares me. But yeah, just wanted to go back to the Jimmy Garoppolo thing just for a moment.
Yeah,
it's almost like this whole, this conveyor belt microcosm, microwavable, society, just in the moment.
Yeah.
We quickly forget who Jimmy Garoppolo truly was, and why was Jimmy Garoppolo brought over in the first place?
Because he was killing it in New England.
Yes, the understudy of the GOAT.
Yeah.
And the guy who actually sat under him multiple years. And,
what was it? 2-3 years he sat under?
3 years.
Yeah.
And then you got this Trey Lance thing, and they're ready to just quickly, oh my God, why would you sit him? And just this, are you serious? Who better else to learn under than the guy who sat and understudy for Tom Brady? And then when he did get his chance, what did he do? He won. He was just winning, but he did get injured. But
well, no, I mean, even that first year where he was there for 8 weeks at the most, he was still injured at the time, but he ended up coming back, playing 6 games, didn't lose a single one. And that was at a time where we were looking at San Francisco like, man, this team is real bad. I don't know how he's going to fare in this position. And he took that crap roster and got them I think 6 wins at the end of that season. And we were looking at them like, ooh, okay. Jimmy Garoppolo's a guy. Now, I will say that I think that contract was a little bit premature, but that's neither here nor there.
The very next year, he earned it.
In the Super Bowl. No, I think it was the year after because he did he ended up tearing his ACL, and then when he came back, he did end up playing and getting them to the Super Bowl. So,
but when he's in the game,
yeah,
they do nothing but win. And now they asking, at minimum, to ask Trey Lance basically to sit there and learn. Man, you playing with house money. You have a winning franchise quarterback here. Whether you keep him or move on from him next year or whatever the case, man. I mean, San Francisco is holding all the keys here. So with that, I mean, I agree. I actually have them at 11-6.
Okay. I mean,
I know it's 10-7. It just when I broke it all down, I was like, oh, 11-6. Okay, and I went back and I'm like, all right, I can see 10-7.
I mean, there's a couple of 50-50 games, and I try to be conservative with my picks, but I also try to give them the benefit of the doubt. I mean, obviously, there's a 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5 games on this list that could be flipped either way.
Exactly.
So, I mean, you never really know. But I think they're 10-6, 11, or sorry, 10-7, 11-6. That range, I could even see them at the 9-8 range. It's just, I think it's a very fluid scale right now.
Right.
But yeah, they think those are solid. I mean, I'm wondering what game me and you have flip flop, but we can take a look at that off air.
Right.
No, I just think that this team is. I think they're poised for a huge bounce back this year. I think, like I said, I think a lot of NFL fans, a lot of people that are fans of just football in general, I think a lot of people are prisoners of the moment and kind of sleeping on San Francisco right now. I don't think you should, when you look at the NFC West, sleep on none of these teams. Every single team in this division is a top 15 team in the league to me. This is a division that is going to be murderer's row. And the only reason why there's going to be so many losses on every single team schedule is because they play each other. Somebody has to win the games. They're not all going to go tie each and every single one of these games. Somebody's going to have to win them. And so at the end of the day, I think that they're going to knock each other off. And that's why none of them will be the number one seed. But I think it's going to be very close. I think it's going to be very tight. And if you sleep on this team, if you think any team in this division is a cakewalk or a team that you can take a week off on, you're sadly mistaken. This it's not. I don't think this is an any given Sunday. This is a division that you got to get yourself psyched up for to be able to beat them, because man, it's tough.
The bring it division.
Yeah. So, man, just don't cast San Francisco or Arizona or Seattle or even the Rams aside, saying they just aren't going to be able to put it together. I think it's just going to be very, very tough.
Yeah. Agreed. But man, that I can't wait till the season starts. AFC West is NFC West. I'm sorry, the Western Division in both for me is just they oh my God, what are they doing in the western end of the country? I mean, man, they just have all the talent. But yeah, that is making football even more interesting than what it has already been anyway. But I just, my God, we'll be 3 weeks out.
Yeah, just about.
Jeez.
Yeah, 2 more weeks of.
Too long away. That's all it is. It's just feeling like it's 3 years out.
Yeah, 2 more weeks of preseason and basically a bye week before we got NFL football on September 9th.
Exactly. Just give us a weekend, just a dead week, and right before it starts, just to tease everybody. Basically.
Let's talk Seattle. I think there's a lot of stuff that we need to discuss with this team. Let's just get into it, because I got questions and I'm confused and I'm, what are we doing over here, Pete Carroll? So we started off this offseason, and Russell Wilson is pissed, Pete Carroll's pissed, Seattle's pissed, the fans are pissed, and it seems like, hey, Russell Wilson, I'm done, I'm out.
Right.
Peace, Seattle.
So it seemed.
He said, "Bye, Hawks," not "Go Hawks." But then all of a sudden, we're now looking at a situation where, all right, nothing happened. I wasn't able to force their hand. Russell Wilson says, "I guess I'll come back for a season." My question is so. Let me go back. Russell Wilson, his main argument, his main grief with the Seattle franchise is that he felt like he didn't have enough protection or enough weapons.
Okay.
I mean, we can all agree. I think that, he didn't come out and say that.
But those were the two.
Those were the leaks. Those are the things that that his team was saying that he had an issue with.
Yes. So they said.
Allegedly.
But go ahead.
And then they made a couple of moves. Nothing big. I'm not gonna lie. There's nothing big to me. Like they didn't make any move to me that was like, oh, okay, you're really taking care of this dude now.
Yeah, I ain't pushed him there. The needle did not move.
And they were silent as can be, and nobody was saying anything for a long time. The only thing that we got was, we're not trading Russell Wilson. Screw you, Chicago. We don't care about what you want, what you think, what you're willing to give up for him. Right. You're just not getting them. And then we get to minicamp, and oh no, yeah, I love everything that we did this offseason type situation. I never said that I wanted to trade. I was just saying that if they were going to trade me, I would go to these places. And I'm just real confused, because why is everything so hunky-dory when they didn't do jack squat to address what you had an issue with?
It was not. This is not going to be some big time take, what I'm about to say. It's my opinion, and I'm just going to say it very quickly. But it just reminded me of you when you have some type of exchange with a passive aggressive person.
Mm-hmm.
It was a very passive aggressive move on both sides of it.
Yeah.
And nothing really got accomplished here, at the end of the day. I mean,
they basically said, Russell Wilson said, I don't like you. Pete Carroll says, I don't like you either. And then they just stared at each other, seethed for 3 months. And then we're like, all right, we got to go play football.
And then come out with that crappy, we best of friends, best buds nonsense.
Yeah.
Like, our relationship couldn't be closer now than how? I'm like, what fool you think we are? It's just as an NFL fans.
I'm
not
saying
just
it
me
right
and
now.
You, but
I'm saying it right now. Russell Wilson, Pete Carroll, I don't buy it.
Not at all. And and the writing's on the wall. There's a problem brewing here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm almost guaranteed by the
There's a
next
problem
off
full boil
season,
right now.
I'm saying at the latest, by the beginning of the next off season, we're going to be revisiting this. And because I don't think this has gone away. And especially if you're going to compound it with another non-championship winning season or some kind of, quick playoff exit type thing where, and it's going to be, okay, where are we at now? 1 year later, one less year on the contract, Pete Carroll included. It's like questions. I mean, at this point, I think at that, point, the Seattle's upper management will get involved in this.
But that's the thing. Seattle doesn't have an upper management.
Still?
They are owned by a group that nobody has full control over. And so basically it's kind of like Green Bay where the coach or the GM, and the GM is Pete Carroll, just runs the show. And that's where my issue is. Because at the end of the day, Pete Carroll, there's nobody above Pete Carroll to make any big decision. I mean, they've got a person that's supposed to be like the CEO or the CFO or whatever you want to call it, whatever his position title is. I don't give a damn what your name is because you're not the one who's making the decision. It's Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll is the guy who has all the power in this situation. And when he's not making the moves that to appease a guy like Russell Wilson. And I'm not trying to take any shots at Russell Wilson. I have an issue with you being passive aggressive, Russ, about wanting to get out of there because I wanted you in Chicago.
Which is not the blueprint for getting the trade.
No, but exactly that. If you wanted to get out, you need to say that because now you're going to be in a to me a toxic situation this upcoming season, and it's only going the second that they hit a wall, which you will because this division is murderer's row. There is going to be, hey, do you still feel like this is the division that you can get a win in, or you can get another championship in?
Right.
Do you feel like they made it? Were you happy enough with the offseason moves that they've made to put you guys into a position? Let's just talk about their offseason moves.
Let's start with the draft. Did you dissect this draft by any chance?
The only thing worth noting, who I don't even think is a good pickup, is Dwayne Eskridge.
He is number 4.
Exactly.
That's their best bet. Hold on, let's keep going. Trey Brown, number 3. He's a backup cornerback, which is fine, I guess.
I mean, he could be a slot corner,
but could be. I mean, maybe he's the nickel guy, maybe he's not.
I agree.
He might not come in until down packages. I don't know. And then Stone Forsythe, I can't even find him on the roster. He didn't even make the team.
Did they not even?
He is not on their active roster right now.
My God.
That's why I said let's just start there.
Okay.
And that's all their draft picks.
Yeah,
they didn't have any draft picks, so you got a number 4 wide receiver. Okay, Russ, this is what you was looking for. That's what you needed. You just needed another receiver.
And you lost your perennial number 3 guy.
Thank you. Because now we have
what is his name? DJ Moore? David Moore?
David Moore.
He left. He's with DJ 3. Moore.
Thank you. And now we got Mr. Freddie Swain. Who is Freddie Swain? No more than who is Dwayne Eskridge. But Freddie Swain is number 3.
Obviously, he's better than Dwayne Eskridge.
I guess.
It's still
Dwayne
just
Eskridge
Tyler
hasn't
Lockett
had one snap yet.
It's Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. That's it. And then who's their tight ends?
Let me just say this: Dwayne Eskridge has just as many starts as Freddie Swain. None, 0. That's what I'm saying. I'm speaking back to this depth thing that they were talking about, and this we're looking out for you. Well, they bombed in the draft.
Oh God, yes.
Now, if you want to go into free agency, You got it.
I mean, there's only two. I mean, I know they signed a couple of offensive linemen, but none of note. And I mean, really, they only got Carlos Dunlap, defensive end, and Alden Smith, who's an aging linebacker who
has been cut a couple days ago. You didn't catch that.
My God.
That's why I was just letting. That's why I want you to roll it off. Just want to show you how bad this is. No, Alden Smith is gone. And
then they lost Shaq Griffin, cornerback, who I think was insatiable last year. I mean, in years prior, that's a huge loss to me on the defensive side of the ball. You lost, like we already stated, David Moore. One of the most, I think, the most underrated loss out of any team is Carlos Hyde. I know Carlos Hyde he's a household name just because he's been around so long, but a lot of people are down on him because, again, he's been around so long. But on a team that has the injury history that Seattle does at running back, you need depth at this position, and you don't have it without Carlos Hyde.
And and he falls under that Gio Bernard type kind of guy. You need these type of utility guys. That
Wayne Gallman,
what is his name from Duke Johnson?
David Johnson, for that matter.
They just like, nope, we don't know. We're good. Travis Homer. Travis Homer was a bust. I believe, was he in San Francisco, if I'm not mistaken?
I believe so. I can't remember.
I'm almost certain. I'm not even going to go look this up.
Doesn't matter.
Y'all can correct me if I'm wrong. Send the answer and no, he played here.
Yeah.
Who cares? Exactly. But Travis Homer is now the 3. DJ Dallas falls to 4. Not that it mattered.
Who's the 2? I thought DJ Dallas was the 2. Because obviously Chris Carson's the 1, but he's never been able to stay healthy. He's so freaking good.
Rashard Penny.
Are you kidding me?
Who never plays. Yes, he's number 2 on the depth chart.
I thought it was bad enough that you had Chris Carson and DJ Dallas, but now you have Rashad Penny, who, again, like you said, never plays.
Because
he
has even a worse injury history than even Chris Carson. So it's
my goodness.
But and guess what Pete Carroll wants to do?
Run the ball.
We don't want Russ to cook. Just sit in the kitchen. And let's run the ball with nobody.
And the other thing about that is that, hey, we need a block for them. And they got all of these second-rate, third-world country offensive linemen that – because they had no money. They couldn't sign anybody big.
No. Okay.
I mean, go through your – because I know you got a full list over there.
No. Okay, like you said, Carlos Dunlap, I think they did what they could defensively, which is smart.
I mean, I will give them credit. You did go ahead and re-sign Jamal Adams just today. That was that's a nice contract. You got him locked up. That makes everything worthwhile that you did give away for Jamal Adams, I believe, is making sure that you locked him up for another 4 years.
Because you got Benson Mayowa.
Okay.
He's coming off but he's not a starter. So he's just a depth guy. Kerry Hyder, who was a defensive tackle, and I don't even think he's on the team anymore. Oh no, I'm sorry. He's 3rd. He's right behind Benson Mayowa. So they just literally behind him. He's next in line behind him. That's your defense. And the only other decent signing of note, which is unfortunately as good as it's gonna get, was Gerald Everett, the tight end that came over from the Rams. I like that pick, but when you look at everything else they did, that's a horrible pick because it doesn't have standalone value. And basically, outside of a Chris Carson re-signing, that's all you've done for yourself. So offensively, they basically, they fumbled the ball at the goal line. and that's and they didn't score. So it's which is going to be the interesting thing because this did not hit my power ranking as much as with the tone of this conversation. However, it's going to speak to the future, not this year. It's coming after. This is it for Seattle. Unless they do something major in next offseason, I don't even think so, down on Seattle after this year because I think they're a good team that is trending down fast. Is the way I'm seeing this, and I'm thinking this year If there's any way for them to hold it together, just based on what they already got in place right now, they may be able to hold it together. However, that's it. That's a 1-year window, and that's it. If I'm in Seattle, I hope I'm on a 1-year contract. Get me out of here. I don't even want to be here in 2023. I just don't. 2022. I'm sorry.
I mean, let's just look at their offensive line.
Right.
Center Brad London Blade. Never heard of him. Maybe he's all right. Cool. Kyle Fuller, also center guard. He plays interior lineman. Ethan Pochich, center guard, plays interior offensive line.
And that's your starter.
Okay. Guard. Phil Haynes. He bench. Jared Hawker, 63.
Jared Hawker.
Is he?
Jared Hawker. Oh my God, he's number 4 on the
number 4. Chart. Gabe Jackson, also guard.
He's a starter.
All right. Damian Lewis.
Starter.
Okay. Jordan Simmons.
Oh, third.
All right. Cool.
Third
let's go look at the tackles. Offensive tackle, Jake Curran.
Offensive tackle. Who was that?
Jake Curran. He's got to be a backup. Because I thought you said Stone Forsythe is the starter over there.
I said he wasn't on the list. I found him.
Okay.
He's second as he's backing up Dwayne Brown.
Gotcha. Jake Curran's number 74, if that helps.
Jake, I don't see his name at all.
Okay.
Is that offensive tackle?
Yep. More tackles on this team. Dwayne Brown.
On the roster.
Tommy Champion. Greg Elliand. Jamarco Jones. Cedric Ogbui.
Yeah.
Brandon Shell. I mean, just there's nobody of note. There is no stud offensive lineman on here. I mean, there's one who has a stud name in Stone Forsythe, but at the end of the day, your name doesn't carry any weight if you can't block. And you're in a division that has Nick Bosa on the other side. You're in the division with J.J. Watt on the other side. You're in the division with Aaron Donald on the other side. You need to block for this dude. But if you don't care about letting Russ cook, you need to block for your run game. Who can't stay healthy in the first place?
This is what opens that little window up for Arizona. What's going on right here in Seattle? And this is how San Francisco just slides right on by. And that's why you're gonna be interested. It's gonna be interesting when I tell you how this division gonna end up for me. It's gonna be very interesting. Even in light of what I'm saying, it's just this is a slow motion train wreck that takes about 18 weeks.
Yeah,
to finish.
I think that this team is going to be decent, and the only reason why they're going to be anywhere near some semblance of good is because of the dude under center, and that's Russell Wilson. He's one of the best quarterbacks in the league. He's been top 3 for the last 10 years. He's a great leader. Everybody loves him on the team. He creates chemistry where there is no chemistry. He uses the lack of talent around him to his benefit, and he deserves better. He deserves a GM and a head coach that actually sees the talent that he has and puts together the pieces that are actually going to get him a championship again.
I mean, arguably the greatest of all time of doing less, doing more with less.
Yeah.
That has been his MO from day one. So you talk about, just a barren wasteland of talent. This guy is the talent.
He needed more weapons, and they went over and gave a huge extension to Tyler Lockett. When you had an opportunity of going to go get a Kenny Golladay, going to go sign a Juju Smith-Schuster, hell, go get Sammy Watkins. Hell, go try to go get Antonio Brown.
I'm gonna do you one better. Bring in Josh Gordon. I mean, you've been sitting there flirting with that for 3 seasons.
Yeah.
And yet you won't bring him in as if Freddie Swain, Dwayne Estrick, that's the alternative. I don't even who is John Ursula?
It doesn't matter.
Cody Thompson.
And at the end of the day, if you're also at a position where you're talking about you really want to run the ball, there were some key running backs that were available this year. Kenyon Drake. The hell? Go get him. James Conner. Go get him. Go get Phillip Lindsay. I'm very frustrated.
Not
and
that they didn't have to get him, thank God.
True.
Damian Williams was out there.
True.
That's what I was getting at. Thank God.
Yeah, I'm very happy he's in Chicago.
But
Did you see he's wearing number 8?
I did not see him.
My God, it's so weird to see him in number 8.
Rex Grossman's old jersey.
Is it?
That's what he wore, 8. Yeah.
God. I've blocked Rex Grossman out of my memory.
The only reason I remember that it's Scottie Pippen's Olympic number. That's the only reason I can remember that.
Makes sense. No, but I'm very frustrated, and the thing is that unless you truly like sit down and watch every game of Seattle this year, everybody who's listening right now will be like, what are these guys and once we get into the season, somebody's listening back to it's like, what the hell are these guys talking about? They're 7-3 right now. They're doing so well. And I'm like, yeah, but watch this team. They could be so much better. You're gonna see. I'm putting out a bold prediction. It's not very bold based off of what I'm saying. Obviously, they're going to win games, but to me, Russell Wilson is going to be in the top 5 of sacks this year.
I can see that.
Chris Carson is not playing all 17 games. I can guarantee that.
I will bet any and everything I own on that.
And DJ Dallas, I don't think either will play all 17 games. I'm holding out hope that Russell Wilson doesn't get injured this year based off of the amount of hits that I feel like he's going to take. And I'm not trying to take a shot at anybody. I truly feel he's going to take a lot of hits this year. And I'm very much hoping that we don't have to see Geno Smith ever take a snap. But I think we might see him.
Oh.
And at the end of the day, I do think this team makes the playoffs. If Chicago makes the playoffs, Chicago is steamrolling this team.
Say that one more time.
If Chicago makes the playoffs, I feel like they're going to be playing Seattle round 1. Chicago will steamroll this team.
I'll take that. I'll take that bet. Because like I said, this team is on this is an 18-week train wreck. Yeah, I'm like you were saying, teams are like, what are you talking about? They're 7-3. Keep watching.
Yeah.
By week 18, and then that's records.
When they start playing a ton of division games and they start losing and Pete Carroll goes back to, I need to run the ball every single down. I can never let Russell Wilson actually take control of this offense and prove me wrong type situation. When that happens, I can't wait to see. There's going to be, I think, towards the end of this season, we're going to see the same TV shots, the same Fox shots that we were seeing with Philadelphia last year of Carson Wentz giving Doug Peterson the side eye. We're going to see those same shots in Seattle. There's going to be a lot of animosity, I think, towards the end of this season. We might even see the exact same thing at the end of the season where you saw Carson Wentz and Jason Kelce and Zach Ertz all sitting together on the sideline after that last game, knowing that they're never playing together again in a Philadelphia uniform.
Right.
We might be seeing the same thing. By the way, this team is so dysfunctional right now. KJ Wright is still not on this roster.
Oh, right.
But back to what I was saying. We might see those exact same shots with Russell Wilson sitting down with Tyler Lockett and looking over and just, man, that was it, man. I'm leaving. Like there's nothing that I can do. And I will say this, I won't be shocked if this team doesn't make the playoffs based off of what I'm saying, but just knowing who Russell Wilson is, he's going to win them games. He's in spite of the situation that this team is in. And the turmoil that this team is about to be in,
which is sad because Pete Carroll is
masks
really banking on this.
Yeah, it masks a lot of the deficiencies that this team has. Just Russell Wilson alone, just kind of blanket coat, just kind of, hey, let's sweep all that under the rug because we got Russell Wilson here, and he's gonna win them games. It's just without a shadow of a doubt. Now, what I am going to be interested to see is if Russell Wilson starts calling audibles at the line.
That will be. Man. I'm glad you said that. I hope this becomes a thing this year. And so that it could be some nice little tension between him and his coach that who gets along, and since they get along so well. When you start calling in them crappy plays and he starts changing them at the line, I want to see what happens then. And when Russ starts cooking, when he wants to run the ball, and and Russ gonna decide we're cooking instead, because I was gonna you changed the entire tone of what I was going to give. I was going to give this whole nice little, I think, Pete Carroll is coming to, like, he's a very smart coach, very, very respectable, and so on and so forth. And, he's battle tested, and he's really proven himself. And I can see that he can look at last year and he'll reevaluate what he did, what worked, what didn't work. And all of a sudden, let's let Russ cook a little bit more. Then you started talking, and I was like, you know what? Pete Carroll ain't never done that. I just felt that's what he was going to do.
And you know why I said what I said? It's because I've been saying that for the last 3 years. Oh, I think Pete Carroll, he's well respected. He's a smart head coach. He's been in the league a long time.
So much space
and so much benefit of the doubt to do the right thing, but he never does. And hey, if Pete Carroll gets fired and he goes somewhere else and continues his career in fantastic fashion, it's going to be because when he got fired, that was a wake up call.
Right.
And I think that's the thing that he doesn't have here, because, again, there's no upper management to say, hey, wake up, Pete. Like, hey, dude, like, what are you doing? Like, this is not – there's no direct line of communication to a dude that's signing the checks saying, hey, this is the guy I'm paying. Why is he not playing the way that I'm to the level of his contract? He's like, well, I've been trying to run the ball. Who gives it? Chris Carson is not Russell Wilson. I'm sorry. It's just, and that's Chris Carson. He's a very good running back. I love him. He's only 26 years old. He's been in the league for 5 years, but he can't stay freaking healthy, and that's going to be the detriment of his entire career, is that he can't stay healthy.
And part of this, is what we have continued to ignore. Pete Carroll has some major oversights going on in his scheme. His scheme is outdated. He does not have the talent to get the stuff done, and he has been literally carried by his quarterback. His quarterback has saved his career, and that's probably why I got. Technically, I do respect him, but as you already knew, I had a problem with him this offseason because that was a real smug move he pulled with this whole Russell Wilson affair thing, and then tries to sweep it under the carpet, and then you come back and do nothing for this man.
Yeah.
Because now it's going to be, go ahead, Russ, save my job,
and the thing
save
is
my
because
career
Russ
again.
won't say anything, and that's the big issue, is because if you don't have somebody above you calling the shots and telling you, hey, I paid you to go do this, to carry out my plan type situation, then obviously you're on the hot seat in that situation. But he doesn't really have that. And the other side of that would be, hey, Russell Wilson, I'm going to start fucking making noise because I'm pissed. Like, and yeah, I can leak something out through my agent to say something, but that carries no weight when you're just sitting at home with Sierra and just saying, hey, I'm cool. I love my family. Team 3, go Hawks. I'm going to be the spokesperson. It doesn't work if you don't make noise. The squeaky wheel gets the grease, and you're not being squeaky enough.
Exactly. Let me throw some names out at you. Pete Carroll, I hope you're listening. Edo Smith, age 25.
Yeah.
Todd Gurley, 27. Devonta Freeman, I think he just signed, didn't he?
I'm not sure. He might have. I did see
he
something about him.
New Orleans?
I saw something about him. I'm not sure.
It was New Orleans, I believe. So I'm gonna leave him alone. They got him listed in Buffalo. He came from Buffalo last year. Moving on. Adrian Peterson, 36.
That's a big one.
Chris Thompson, 30. Le'Veon Bell, 29. I'm going to even swing for the fences. Alfred Morris, 31. Frank Gore.
Alfred Morris just signed today. Oh, no, he was just released today. Never mind. Sorry.
By who?
New York.
Alfred Morris, 31. Frank Gore, 38. And I'll throw in, there's one more guy. And just for the hell of it, Lashawn McCoy, 33. I just for the hell of it.
Yeah.
It better. I would take a Lashawn McCoy over a Travis Homer any day.
Yeah.
No questions asked. I don't care what it's. Do you need a physical? Nope. just come on, just put your clothes on. We'll figure it out when we get on the field. I'm just throwing out a few names. Pete Carroll, pick 2. Pick any 2. I don't even care. Just give yourself a chance. If you so hell bent on running the damn ball, give Chris Carson a damn chance this year. Give Russell Wilson a chance, and give your receiving core a chance. You know, and stop depending on your defense, because you know what, injuries do happen. Just in the just in the nicks, in the comings and goings of the plays, people are going to get hurt just in the process of playing the game throughout the weeks. You don't have the depth, nor I'm saying, what is your plan B? I don't even see what it is outside of we was able to convince Russell Wilson to stop talking about a trade. That's your plan B?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they have to, in my recent history memory, they have to go down as the worst 12-4 team ever. I can't even believe they were 12-4 last year. I could have sworn last year they lost their last 8 games. It just seemed like they lost every game down the stretch, yet they finished 12-4 and did not look good at all, and then just kind of fizzled in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And we already started. They came back with virtually nothing. So what is the plan here for Seattle? Like I said, it's going to be an 18-week train wreck.
But my thing is that they still don't have my biggest issue. I know, again, you need running backs, and I agree with you.
I was only backing his plan. He wants to run the ball so much.
And if that's the case, yes, like you said, pick any 2, sign them, and let's go. And get fucking Travis or whoever you said.
Travis Homer.
Yeah, get him off the roster.
And DJ Dallas. I mean, if you want to keep him, I guess.
I mean, I would keep DJ Dallas.
I'm sorry. Why am I talking about DJ Dallas? Rashard Penny.
That's the one. Got to go.
Why is he even? I don't even understand
those
why.
Those two, Travis,
Homer,
and
you don't have to remember his name.
Yeah. Penny, get out. I'm not going to see him because they're going to be injured.
By the way, Travis Homer is out now.
God,
just want.
And again, just thought I'd throw that out. That's what I was going to say. You need offensive line talent, and there's some good offensive linemen still out there. I know Mike Pouncey has announced his retirement, and so he's available but not available. Mm-hmm. But hey, maybe you can convince him to come back. But Russell Okung's still out there. David Castro's still out there. Zach Fulton's still out there. Nick Easton, Ricky Wagner, James Carpenter, Isaiah Wilson, Spencer Pulley, Mike Iapati.
Keep going.
Austin Ryder, Ben Garland, Joe Dahl, DeMar Dotson, AQ Shipley still out there. Like, and to anybody who's not a big into the NFL, I mean, even people that are super into the NFL still don't know these names. Mm-hmm. Me, I look at these guys and I'm like, I've watched all of these guys, and these are stud offensive linemen, and it's just a matter of the salary cap is so low this year that it's really hard to sign these guys. Mm-hmm. But at this point in the year, a lot of these guys are ready to sign veteran minimums if they really want to play. It just takes a little bit of that Pete Carroll charm to try to get in there into the office with them and convince them to play football again this year. Because these guys are all 30 plus, except for Nick Easton. And Nick Easton probably would sign for a vet minimum anyway. And as Isaiah Wilson, I think he's injured right now, but he's still a name. And you still need depth anyway. So
Mitchell Schwartz is still out there.
Rashad Hill, Jermaine Ifedi.
I mean, hell, bring Chad Wheeler back.
Yeah, I literally just saw Chad Wheeler's name on there too.
Like, if you do bring him back, at least he knows the offense.
Yeah, like, come on, like, there is so much that you could do, and you're just not doing it just cause. And it just frustrates me. And again, this is all in spite of the fact that I have them winning 10 freaking games this year, and that's only because you have Team 3 in Russell Wilson on your roster. It's the only reason why you're winning so many freaking games.
Yeah, it's really a sad story. I mean, it's very. I'm not gonna say it's sad. It's very frustrating when we really dive into this, because I was real good about when we started with Seattle, but anytime we've dived into this summer, I get so ticked with this because it's like, what the hell? And the fact that Russell Wilson is so damn good, and they still was able to pull out 12 wins last year. It teaches Pete Carroll nothing. And he's not going to self-correct, as you can see. He did. He basically pissed on the draft, and then he comes back in free agency and thinks he tried to woo everybody with the extension to Tyler Lockett and re-signing Chris Carson. Smoke screen. I'm okay. What else do you have, sir? You
Those
just brought
two
back.
things I
They
said-
were there last year,
Yeah.
so okay.
You didn't add anything.
He did addition by doing nothing. It was a wash. It's like the timetables. Your multiplication. It was 1 million times a zero. What you got? Nothing. That's all. It's one of them kind of equations. Like it looked like it was gonna equal something, and
it's honestly the same reason why I don't have Tampa Bay making it to the Super Bowl.
Okay, I know you're talking something slightly different, but go ahead. I mean, I get
but obviously, and that's the reason why Tampa Bay is already ahead on this list for me, and why I have them still at number 2 is because they already won a freaking championship. They've already done the work, and they already put in the time, and they're bringing back a championship team already.
Right.
As opposed to this team didn't do enough last year. Your scheme didn't work last year. And now you're just bringing it back to do what? Not to do better than what you did last year? Are you trying to tell me we just need a little bit more effort, Pete Carroll? Is that what you're trying to say? Because at the end of the day, I saw a lot of effort out of Russell Wilson. I saw no effort out of that offensive line. I saw no effort out of these running backs here, and I saw no effort out of that defense outside of Jamal Adams.
I'm gonna say that the entire bench. Well, that offensive bench sucked. I mean, it was non-existent.
If you got injured, they were done.
Right. David Moore made sure he got out of there. He's gone. And I'm like, that was basically your next man up, just from the offensive side of the ball, and he's gone. And no replacements for him whatsoever. And even he was damn near non-existent last year because of how they run their offense. Like I said, they are good enough because of Russell Wilson to be relevant this year and even be a playoff contender, which is the most craziest thing to say. But I'm speaking to Russell Wilson's genius. He is oh my God.
He's a savant with the football.
I think, and only very few see this, that their guy is that good. But yet this is not even a Russell Wilson piece. This is about this organization. This organization outside of Russell Wilson
is putrid.
Really, thank you. I mean, yeah, you got a piece here and a piece. I'm not speaking to like the DK Metcalfs and with his
obviously fantastic.
his individual abilities but damn it, somebody has to throw him the ball. He can't throw it to himself. So with that, I'm not talking about him, but as a cohesive unit, offensively and defensively.
To me, the core is Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf, and Jamal Adams on the defense side of the ball. Outside, I mean, I know you just brought in Carlos Dunlap, but he hasn't even seen him, but he hasn't even seen the field with this team, so he can't be in that circle yet.
Right.
So those are the 3. And outside of that, I have a real issue with this roster. And the biggest issue that I have is this offensive line. And so, I mean, like I said, I have them at 10 wins. Where do you have them?
Shocking 11-6.
We did the same thing. We got
we waffling the game here and there. I know I was just being. Don't ask. This was a very hard division to.
And I used a site that breaks down my my tiebreakers and everything. They ended up from my game picks early on 3-3 in the division. They went on a tiebreaker with San Francisco, and so they're 2 in the division to me.
I think I got them splitting, if I'm not mistaken. I think I had got through my notes a little bit faster than I normally do, and that was a stat I forgot. I did not break down the actual division matchups, but yeah, I think if I remember correctly, I got them 2 splitting between Seattle and San Francisco. They're splitting both games.
Yeah. So I'm just speaking to where they fall in the division. It just they're tied, but somehow tiebreaker wise, Seattle takes the edge.
I'll explain why I got them, but I need to add I have to bring in the Rams into this to even explain this.
Well, let's get to them because this is a team that, despite their draft, they're still very, very good. I'm high on them. I really like the Rams. Matt Stafford, I think, is one of the biggest upgrades at quarterback that you could possibly get. I think Matt Stafford is going to become a household name this year.
Yes, and could we just start by prefacing the Rams won free agency with this trade. If you can go, if you might get somebody, I don't know anything bigger that happened.
Free agency?
I'm adding them to the free. I know it was a trade,
like an off-season. They won the off-season moves with this trade.
Yeah,
I'm going back through my.
I was
notes.
just adding this trade to any kind of signing. I haven't seen anything bigger than that trade.
Yeah, because that team's not good. Okay.
Wasn't really a hot take. It's just I looked and I couldn't see anything. I mean, I'm not saying that there wasn't any good deals out there.
No, I get what you're saying. No, I'm just trying to look back and see if there's anybody
something
that
even comes close. But by all means, please.
One that comes close to me is, I think it's one of the most underrated ones, and I had told you about this when we talked about him earlier.
Mm-hmm.
Emmanuel Sanders to Buffalo. That's a huge one for me. I think that brings a lot.
I can. Poor man, I can see that. You know, I can see where you're coming with that one.
I mean, I don't think it's on the same level. I think it's the tier below it, just because it's a wide receiver in this, and he's the number 2 wide receiver. But I just think he brings so much to that offense that that a team that was already in the playoffs and already in that realm making that move.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I can't really argue with that at all. Maybe losing Bud Dupree, Pittsburgh, that's a big move. It's in the opposite direction.
Possibly. And a defensive move can rival that. I mean, we seen like the J.J. Watt signing, and that was big. I mean, you heard I was bragging. I was talking big stuff about that. However, that wasn't bigger than this trade.
I would say the only other one, it's not a trade, it's just a signing. The Chargers getting Corey Linsley, center. That's also another big one for me. But I agree with you. I mean, I'm not going to say that that's bigger than getting Matt Stafford.
Let me say this. That's bigger than Tennessee getting Julio Jones.
True. Oh, yeah, for sure.
Let me just, so we want for people to
I'm just saying that all of those.
Get some people's out there some household names. Like, I wasn't even going to consider that. I just wanted to scale this. Like, I will argue this point that I think that was the biggest offseason move that happened. You know, out now. We got into the draft. Nothing's bigger than the Justin Fields pickup, but I digress. I just thought I had to say that, disclaim that.
I still have to hold in all of my Bears takes for 2 more weeks. This is
I know. And I think I've been very good not bringing up really Bears reference. I think I do one a show.
Yeah,
that's my one. I'm done. Just want to let everybody know, bear down.
No, but for sure, it's just Matt Stafford. Yeah, this is his second coming. I think this is his showing out party. Like, this is where everybody's going to see what Matthew Stafford really is. Because if you're not a fantasy football player, you don't know Matt Stafford. You just are like, oh, that's that dude on the Lions. Ew. Like, that's literally like all it is. The longtime Lion is all it is. And it's just like, no, this dude he's the real deal. And if you can see what he's been doing on the Lions, just imagine when you put him with a competent offensive head coach and a competent offensive line and just decent weapons, like in a team that can actually put together a run game package.
Look, Matthew Stafford is definitely on the Detroit Lions Mount Rushmore.
Oh yeah, Barry Sanders, Matt Stafford, Calvin Johnson, and Chris Spielman.
Defensive side.
Gotcha. Yeah, that makes sense. I agree. Yeah, Matt Stafford, he's the number 2 greatest Detroit Lion of all time to me. Barry Sanders and then him.
I can't argue that. I can't. I mean, Calvin Johnson was wonderful.
It's just too short-lived.
Who made Calvin Johnson?
True.
All I'm
True. I'm not going to.
Someone had to throw him the ball. Wait a minute. Oh, it was Stafford. That's right. And
and Dan Orlovsky. Let's.
What? Al's up in here right now. Who? But I digress from Detroit. We've given way too much time to that franchise. But okay. But yes, I combed all through the offseason. I'm like, there was nothing more significant. I'm like, my God, I didn't go over. I wasn't like falling all over the couches and falling over things when he got traded, but just over time, the more you kept looking like, and the more you think back to where he's come from, and what he did with what he had, and now where he's at. Y'all better watch. Oh my God, I do not want to. If I'm in the NFL, I don't want to see anybody in the NFC West, specifically not the Rams, And unfortunately, us Bears fans have to get them out the gate.
Damn it.
I guess if there was
But
ever a time to play them, it would be week 1. I'm guessing.
Yeah, and that's what I was gonna say, because it's like if there's any time that anybody could beat this team, it's before they get hot.
Exactly.
And I think the Bears. I'm looking at week 1 already, obviously, and I'm just looking at it. I'm like, I know the sports analyst in me says there's no way the Rams lose this game. But just looking at the way Justin Fields played and the way that the offense played with Justin Fields, and knowing that Matt Nagy, I still believe in him and his view, and that he's saying that Andy Dalton is still right now better than Justin Fields. And the way Justin Fields played in that game with the one specifically, I was like, "Phew, he's got something there." But you're still telling me Andy Dalton's better at this moment? Man, Bears might be able to steal one right out of the gate. Week 1 out of all weeks, where the craziest stuff happens on week 1.
Let's be very clear. I mean, and we already know this, but just putting it in a proper perspective. We started last season, and I'm just a small Bears plug. It's just based on what you said. This does not count. However, it's when we started last year, we had Nick Foles and Mitch Trubisky, and we made it to the playoffs. Now we have Andy Dalton
and
Justin Fields and Nick Foles. For whatever reason, all hell broke loose, and we had to play this guy. There's nothing that speaks to regression here. That's all improvements just in that one position. I'm like, so you say what you want to say. You can break the numbers down and try to put a twist and spin on it and how they still bad some kind of way, because this is what they do. Some kind of how. That's absurd. There have, on paper, on the field, they have gotten astronomically better.
Yeah.
Therefore, there's no regression. It's not as I think you as well as myself, like you're saying, taking analytics, the Rams should win the game. However, don't be surprised Chicago come up in here and punch them in the mouth. I'm going to go further. Punch them in the mouth simply because LA is new. They got a new quarterback just as well. And hell, they got to learn. And I'm like, and in week 1, they might be just in the same place we were, trying to figure it all out. But
on top of the fact, Chicago, if you go back to 2018 and the first year of Matt Nagy, that was the year LA Rams were the unstoppable offense and nobody could stop them. They were doing everything that they could. And who was the first team to beat them? It was New Orleans, but we were the second one. No kidding.
But when they lost to the Bears, the Rams, as we know it, was never the same from that point on.
No,
because prior to that, the week before,
we exploited something big.
That big KC game that they had on Monday night.
Oh, was it that?
The very next game was the Bears. And they were done after. That was it. It's just like after they beat Kansas City, what was it? 99 to 97? That's what it seemed like.
I think it was 56 to 48 or something like that.
I thought they both had 50. Like 51
maybe I don't remember.
To 56 or so. It was absurd. But the point being was the very next week the Bears
51-54.
I remember someone had 51, and then the Bears won on this. I believe it wasn't a Sunday night game. I think it was an afternoon game.
It was a Monday game.
Was it a Monday game again? So the Rams had 2 back-to-back Monday night games.
Is it a Monday or Sunday? It was a night game though. I remember that.
I'm thinking it's Sunday. I want to say Sunday night. Moving on. It doesn't matter. But the point being is that team was never the same until now. Now here we are again. I'm just saying, don't be surprised. Chicago goes in there, punch them in the mouth, take the W, and go home. And that's all I'm getting at. And then go on to lose the next 2 games.
Yeah. It's just one of those things where I think the Rams, let's get back to them.
Yes, I was still on the Rams. I never got off of them.
Stafford himself, he brings something way more than Jared Goff can. I think you just saw it with that preseason game. You saw Detroit taking on Buffalo, the very first play, Jared Goff throws it right to the linebacker, just sitting there waiting for it. And I'm like, what the? Granted, you have nobody to throw to, Jared Goff. I'm sorry, you're in purgatory right now.
I'm glad you said that. I was like, it's not his fault, really.
But that throw was his fault. He threw it right to him, and I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And this is exactly why LA moved off of you. Your decision making is piss poor. That's horrible. It's no excuse that you don't have a receiver to throw to. You threw it directly to the defense. So that's that. But then also you're looking at a situation you're looking at a situation with. So now Matthew Stafford's taken over the helm. This is the first time I've seen Lashawn McCoy excited since 2018. They bring in Deshaun Jackson as a big play threat after you already have Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods. So these are skinny, fast guys, but
he's your 3.
Yeah, I'm getting some. I'm a little bit wary just because of how small they are.
Right.
But outside of that, I mean, their talent is indisputable. It's unfortunate they lost Cam Akers. He's injured. He's out for the season. ACL.
Yeah, that was a bummer.
But you still got Darrell Henderson.
Who was last year's starter, technically.
True. And then I think they should go get Todd Gurley to back him up.
And they have some speculations, like, why not bring him back? You know, I mean, just if he don't have to be the 2, he don't have to be he can be the 3. You know, just keep, if you run in a committee anyway, it can't hurt. Todd Gurley is perfect for a committee. He doesn't need to be a bell cow, and that's the thing. Everyone wants to bring him in. He wants to get paid that kind of money.
I don't think he does. I think he just wants to play football again.
At this point, but I mean, it's, outside of if his contract is finally over, but his contract is done. He's never going to get a contract like that again. So at this point, it's like, you're going to get paid according to what they need you for as a utility person. And I think you give this guy 7, 8 reps, maybe 10 carries a game. That's good enough. When you got a Darrell Henderson over there to back him up. Still need to see what this Xavier Jones is all about, but
and Tutu Atwell.
Yep, Tutu Atwell. Which definitely going to be. He might not want to step aside for Deshaun Jackson. He might push Deshaun Jackson for the 3, and that's just more credit to the Rams and their depth. Man, this is an impressive damn roster. And their defense already speaks for itself. I do think they did take a big hit with losing Sam Ebicam. I had talked about him when we were talking about San Francisco. I think that's a sneaky big loss in Sam Ebicam leaving. But outside of that, you still have a very star-studded defense led by Aaron Donald. You've got a young, up-and-coming Leonard Floyd. And big signing.
I mean, you just saw what he did last year, something that he's never done in Chicago, but he still was able to become. He broke out last year. He became a definite starting linebacker in the NFL last year.
Right.
And whether he stays with the Rams after this season or he decides to go on a free agency and really go see what his market value is, I think this season's even going to bolster that further for getting some consistency on that front. So I'm excited for what the Rams are. I think their offense is maybe lacking just a tiny bit behind their defense, but that I think by the end of the season, chemistry-wise, they're going to be at a point where they're going to pass that defense and they're going to be offensively led again. And it's going to be something interesting to see exactly how much Matthew Stafford really takes this team. Because I know a lot of people just think that he was just the quarterback of the Lions and there's nothing that he really could have done or that he's not really all that great. It just so happens that he's able to throw the ball in garbage time. No, this dude is pinpoint accurate. He's tough as nails. He's smart as hell. And he's going to make the right decision, the right throw, and be deadly accurate. And if he wants to pick you apart and methodically drive down the field, he's going to do that. But if he needs to hit a big play, he can do that as well. He's still got a cannon of an arm. And he's happy about where he's at. He's excited about the future of this team. He's got a really good situation, and he's only, 34, 35? I mean, this dude, he's not old by any means. He's still got, I think, a good 5 years left in him. And if this is his last contract, or this is his last stop, maybe one more contract out of this, LA is going to be in a fantastic situation. The only thing that I do have an issue with about the Matthew Stafford signing is that you did end up having to give away a draft pick just to get Jared Goff off the books. So that hurts a little bit, but outside of that, it's a home run. There's no big issue there. I think this team is just they're in a fantastic spot, and they're primed to win this division. To me,
yes, and very. I was breaking down their draft picks. They all of their defensive draft picks has just bolstered their entire third string, just showing you how much depth they already have.
Yeah.
That no matter where it was from the second round to the seventh round, they all are the third stringers. They are so set in their first two rotations. I don't like this division. Man, if you can avoid this division in NFL, just avoid it. It's just like, yeah, you don't want no part of it. I wouldn't want any part of this division at this year at all. From the Rams to the Cardinals, it does not matter.
Yeah,
like you said, it is murderer's row. It is even worse if you in the division. But if nothing else, whoever comes out of this, they are so battle tested. They are so ready.
If they can stay, if whoever is healthy. Because that's going to be the other thing is if you can stay healthy.
That'd be the last man standing, literally.
Yeah, but I mean, even if you are the last man standing, you could be pretty beat up at the end of this. So I mean, I'm
taking it from a battle test, but I don't know. I'm taking it as that. I get what you're saying. It could go either way, but I took the other narrative.
Yeah, no. and I'm hoping that it does end up that way, because if it is, it's going to be one of those situations where you went through hell and back. And now you're just playing, and you're going against teams that haven't. You're going against the Tampa Bay team that really saw no adversity in their division.
Right.
You're going against an NFC East team. That's a joke in itself.
The fact that they even reserving a spot for them.
Yeah. I mean, NFC North.
No offense, Washington, but
I think NFC North is pretty competitive as well. I think they're the fourth division in all of the NFL.
Oh, you think so? I thought they were right. Yeah. I don't want to get to my question.
Okay.
Go ahead. No.
But
it's interesting you said that. No.
Yeah, but I think this is the toughest division. Every team deserves a spot in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the fact that they have to play each other is going to knock one of them out. And I think who's going to get the short stick is Arizona. I've got LA 12-5.
Interesting. And I actually got LA 11-6.
Ooh, okay.
Don't ask me a three-way tie with the Rams winning it out. So, it's when I got to the end, I'm like, how in the hell did I went back through it again. I'm like, I didn't change. I'm like, now I could yours like I'm sure somebody could be 12 or 13, and somebody might have just 10, and there could be a 9 win. Yeah. But I had them all deadlocked at 11-6, and unfortunately Arizona was the constellation 8-9 team.
Yeah,
so it's I'm being and 8-9. Don't take that lightly. That's like we started. That's a very dangerous, tough 8-9. A very tough out.
And keep in mind, 8-9 this year could get you in the playoffs.
Exactly.
I mean, you got a 17th game and a 7th playoff spot. You could get in with an 8-9 record. Very relevant. Keep in mind, what were they, 7-9 last year? Washington made it into the playoffs.
Exactly.
Or 6. They might have been 6.
No. I won't say that. It was 7-9.
7-9. Okay.
They would have to redo every. The minute
they have 16, to do it already.
A minute a 6-win team getting the playoffs. Scrap the whole. You have to redo all of this. That you have to change everything, because you should never allow this to happen.
7-9 is bad enough.
Exactly, and that's really pushing it.
Yeah.
And that's happened a few times this year. And actually, at one time we got a 7-8-1 team that went in. If I remember correctly,
Tennessee, I think.
Possibly. I'm about to look it up, but you keep talking.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. This division is insane, and it's tough. I really think the Rams, and I forgot to say, I have them at 5-1 within the division. I think the one team they lose to is Seattle. For some reason, the Rams have some blind spot when it comes to Seattle.
2014 Carolina Panthers.
I knew it was a team in blue.
I remembered it. I couldn't believe it. I lost it, and they were number 1 in the NFC South.
Yep.
Moving on. I'm gonna tell me. I don't remember. I remember things.
It's just a division that competition. This is the epitome of competition. These are 4 insanely talented roster that anybody can win any single game.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited to see what all of these teams can do. I'm definitely excited to see the future of Arizona. I'm excited to see the downfall of Seattle. I'm excited to see San Francisco's bounce back and their response to last year's critics. And I'm excited to see LA start this new chapter.
Yes.
I think everybody has a good a right to feel like they are one of the best teams in this division, one of the best teams in this conference. But man, this division, man, it is going to be the toughest division to watch, just based off of everybody knocking each other off. There are going to be games where these teams look like gods. There's going to be games where these teams look like peasants against each other. It's just going to be a dogfight, and it's going to go all the way to the end. This is going to be the division where we have a Week 18 game now, where whoever wins in the division in these 2 games, those are going to be the 2 teams that get the playoff spots.
Right.
We're not going to figure out. Nobody's going to lock up the number 1 seed or anything like that early. Everybody, this division is going to have to play all the way through all 18 weeks. You can't take a single week off.
It's not going to be decided until after Week 18. I think it's going to come down to the last week.
Week 18 is the last week now.
That's what I'm saying. I think I'm just reiterating what you said. It's not going to be something that's decided by weeks 15.
Yeah. No, it's not going to be wrapped up early. You have to play every single game. Nobody is taking a break in Week 18. Game 17 of this season, it's not just a cakewalk. It's, hey, this is a divisional matchup. Whoever wins gets in.
Yep.
Whoever loses is at the mercy of the tie-breaking sequence.
Right.
Maybe you get in, maybe you don't. And unfortunately, I think with the way things are going to shake out, Arizona might not make it. But if every single one of these teams in this division makes it to the playoffs, it's rightfully so, for 1. But 2, whoever they play, it's a tough Week 1 matchup or wild card round matchup. It's not a cakewalk. It's not one of these where like, oh, they've stumbled in. They're not going to have any way of getting up for this game. It's just going to be the toughest fight of your life to stay alive in the NFL.
Right. I agree. I agree 100%. And I mean, bravo. I don't want to even. I don't even have to add anything to that. That's enough said. It's. Oh my God, this division gives me anxiety.
Yeah. Well, let's get to your question of the day.
Okay, question of the day. Considering that the NFC's West starting QBs are arguably the best compilation of talent in the NFL,
okay,
being Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, Matthew Stafford, and Jimmy Garoppolo,
okay,
what other division could challenge that claim and why?
Ooh. Well, off the top of my head, I've got AFC North.
Boom.
Baltimore with Lamar Jackson. Cleveland with Baker Mayfield. Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. Ben Roethlisberger. I'm low on him, but
trending down.
Yeah. So that would be my number 1. AFC West?
I would have to say, unfortunately, I was feeling you was going to go that direction. I have to say, actually, it's NFC North.
You like the NFC North and AFC West?
That would be my
quarterback-wise.
Yeah, just from the compilation, if you put it all together.
I know it's because I'm out on Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins is no go for me. He's worse than Derek Carr to me,
but not worse than Jared Goff. and I get that, but
no, because that's one
know what you're
division versus the other, and I'm looking at theirs. You got Pat Mahomes,
but then there's Drew Lock, and I'm sorry.
You're right.
I know what you, and that's what you're saying. But you were teetering on. Why can't you just say his
Kirk
name?
Cousins?
No, from the Raiders.
Oh, Derek Carr.
I can see his face. Can't say his name. I know you was teetering on the Carr thing, and I was like, that's the only difference where where I could, if you just off on him, I'll give you that. But see, I'll put him. Kirk Cousins and him are almost the same person to me.
Okay. I'll take Jared Goff over Derek Carr. Or not Derek Carr, Drew Lock. I'll take Jared Goff over Drew Lock.
Drew Lock just lost it for me. I'm like, sorry. I mean, just no. Because I don't like. I'm not big on Jared Goff, but when it came down to them two, no, Drew Lock. I have to just, unfortunately, you tipped the scale for me. But
trying to think of other AFC East. You got Cam Newton.
Don't do it to yourself.
No, I'm just thinking. I mean, obviously Josh Allen, he's good. I mean, we don't know what Zach Wilson is, but he could definitely. You're right.
It's
tough. That's a tough one.
And that's the question. I will get this one out online. I will make sure of that because now I know to hit the bell.
Yeah,
and I'll get the alert and put it in immediately. But that is the question. I'll say it one more time, and then we can close out.
Yeah.
Considering that the NFC's West starting QBs are arguably the best compilation of talent in the NFL, with Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, Matthew Stafford, and Jimmy Garoppolo, what other division could challenge that claim and why?
All right, answer that down below. Let's have a discussion about it. And let's go watch some football this week. Week 2 of the NFL preseason is out. I think week 2 of Hard Knocks is out as well.
Oh, nice.
I
got to catch up.
Yeah, we can talk about that. And yeah, I mean, football is here. We are in football season. We are ready to go. So let's have a discussion about it down below. Kind of looking ahead schedule-wise, we are going to be week to week doing weekly shows. Probably going to be broken up.
Okay.
In different episodes throughout the week. So probably 3 or 4 episodes a week. Okay. But all pertaining to that week's slate of games and recapping last week, so you guys are going to have full coverage here, so be on the lookout for that.
Yes.
And then also, I mean, we're coming up quick on the NBA season as well, so we'll start talking about some of that as well. This is a good time for sports.
That's all I gotta say. It is, man, because we're ignoring a lot of things going on in the NBA right now.
Yeah. I still haven't gotten to talk about my Bulls.
Well, we might have to make a special little 20-minute episode for you because a lot has happened in the last 3 weeks. So in the NBA, and I know this is an NFL station, so we'll keep it to that. But like you said, good time for sports right now. Yeah. So just keep an eye out. We are going to be putting out a lot of content. So just stay tuned for all of that. And yeah, again, like, rate, subscribe. Share the show, and we will catch you guys on the next one. Have a good night.